Well, I want to talk about the last 2 weeks, really, because we saw what happened at Madison Square Garden, and then we see your guys respond by winning two straight and going to Michigan with a huge upset over number 15 Wolverines. How have you seen the guys respond at such a crucial moment in the season going into March?
Well, New York wasn't any fun. It was really kind of the perfect storm. It was kind of the culmination of a lot of illnesses, us not practicing very much, and I'm not taking any credit away from Duke. They were tremendous, but we didn't make any shots, and it was just became a really the perfect storm. So, 12 hours after we landed, we got back in the gym. We had a really good practice. We made some decisions to change quite a bit. Um, we'd been wanting to do that for some time, mainly with Tomislav out as much as he is. He's kind of our quarterback. He's a guy that's in ball screens 40 to 50 times a game, and he's got to be the communicator. And with him out, he had 5 practices in about a 5 week period. So we didn't make those changes, and the changes have helped. Our team's been resilient. They've handled adversity. They've stayed together. I've said this is an extremely high character group, and it's worked. It's been fun to see.
How has it challenged you as a coach? You mentioned the injuries, the illnesses. I don't know that I've ever seen Illinois go through this many, like kind of a weird illness season like you have. How has it challenged you as a coach to adapt along the way?
Yeah, it's been really challenging. It's my first time in 38 years I've seen anything like this. And it was just the longevity, and it was we've always been a team that's had I guess excited, energetic practices, and we try to do that every day. And even the guys that were coming back from the flu and having had that, there was no energy, there was no life, and it was challenging to get better. So yeah, it was there were games we didn't know who we had. Literally, guys had asked who's starting. I said, let's see who we have. As much as the day of the game. So I like continuity. I like kind of living my basketball life in a rut, so to speak, and knowing what we have, and we couldn't do that. So it stunted us a little bit, but this group has been phenomenal in terms of their bounce back.
You talk about continuity. I mean, just having a young team too. Most of them haven't played together going into this season. How have you seen them gel and work together to be able to pull it off?
Yeah, it's probably not talked about enough is 10 new guys. I think Kylan Boswell has been incredible in terms of his leadership here of late. I think we've got a healthy and rejuvenated Trey White. And then we've seen the freshmen grow up. We're seeing Will Riley. We're seeing, Kasparis has had an incredible year. And then when Tommy's with us and has been healthy, he's a difference maker. And you put Morez Johnson, who we hope to have back for postseason. You put him in that mix, and there's 4 freshmen in there, and a couple of veterans have been great. Ben Humrichhouse is starting to play better. So a lot of new faces, but it just speaks volumes to their character, their love for the game, and their desire to want to continue to improve.
You said your team is peaking at the right time, and every coach hopes that happens when you enter the month of March. You're poised to go to your fifth straight NCAA tournament. What makes a Brad Underwood team so dangerous come this time of year, specifically with this group?
Well, I think the one thing is we've got versatility. One thing through all the sickness, we looked at different lineups. The other day against Michigan, we played smaller, against 2 7-footers and had a lot of success. Scored 60 in the second half. We've been able to play really big. We can do that with Morez back. We can put really good shooting lineups out there. So I like that versatility, and it's not something that we've been forced to do. So we know what that looks like. I think our defensive changes have helped, and reality is it's kind of nice to um, have made some changes late, and it's kind of given us a renewed energy. So I like where we're at, and like I said, the character of these guys is through the roof.
You keep mentioning Morez Johnson Jr., who in Chicago is a big name. Everyone loves to see him having the success. We all saw the block that unfortunately led to the injury, but what kind of defense does he bring to this team, and how have you seen him emerge as a freshman?
Yeah, he's one of the premier defenders, not just in the Big Ten, but in the country. And his ability to protect the rim um, enhances what we do on that end. There's no doubt we took a dip without him. And he's 6'9", he's 250 pounds, he's elite, uh, protecting the rim. His physicality is tremendous. And then you combine that with his rebounding, who's one of the top freshman rebounders in the country. He's a guy that we miss desperately, and then just simply from a depth standpoint, having somebody else with that physicality, there with Tommy helps. So, hopefully we're trending in the right direction with him. He's got the cast off, and he's had a phenomenal freshman year, and he's such a wonderful young man. You feel terrible for him for having to deal with it, but he's been really positive and worked really hard, and excited to have him back.
I love the story that the Illinois Engineering School, obviously one of the best in the country, played into his cast. I was like, wow, that is fascinating. I was in the College of Media, so nowhere near as smart as those kids, but to see that pay off was really cool. What was the story behind the science of the cast?
Yeah, we got an email, and our doctors here had put a cast on him, and we put a hole in it so that he could have stimulation to the bone and be able to have whatever the medical stuff he
Yeah.
needs. And all of a sudden we get a text message or an email that says, "Hey, we're Illini fans. We went to the University of Illinois, and we've got something that we think is better and that would be more beneficial." And sure enough, they drove down here. We got them hooked up with our medical staff, and everybody was in agreement that this thing's great. It looked like an orange net, but had all the accessible points where he could get the stimulation and his treatments, and he liked it because it looked cool, and it was just it's a great story, but it just shows how passionate our fan base is and how many different uh, you know parts of the world that we can get to from engineering to business, and everybody's reaching out, and it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I love it. Do you pay attention to bracketology and what everyone's saying, all the experts about where you might be seating wise come
I
postseason?
I purposely and my staff um, knows I haven't looked at it not one time this year, and
But they know.
I haven't even looked at the Big Ten stuff. And I've literally said all I want to do, tell us where we're at, because for me the net matters. I've paid a lot of attention to the net, to Ken Palm,
Mhm.
much more so than I have any of the rankings, any of the, truthfully, it's kind of a waste of time, to watch all that stuff. And I know our league's great. We're going to play as many quad one and quad two games as anybody in the country. That will help us, and we know whoever we get in the Big Ten tournament, in the NCAA tournament, they're going to be good, and you're going to have to beat somebody good, and I think there's um, no real value in me looking at it and getting worked up one way or the other. So I just haven't paid attention to it.
We'll take care of that for you. Given that, though, have you noticed the effects maybe on coaching or playing travel with the expansion of the Big Ten this year?
You know what? I don't pay as much attention to it. I think the one thing that was challenging for us, we were really compressed with our schedule. We had 5 games in 13 days. That makes it really hard to practice and feel rested, but most importantly, to try to get your team better. Um, but you know, the our travel was okay. We went west, and we lost the second game coming back, but that was partly because we didn't have Kasparas. So I think we managed it pretty well, and it's, I'm not trying to make a big deal for anybody. It is what it is. It's what we all signed up for, and we're excited to have 18 great teams.
Final question ahead of the game tomorrow. You meet Purdue and everyone loves this matchup. They were on a skid, then they go up and put 100 points on Rutgers. What's kind of the mentality heading into the final game of the regular season, trying to end with a win?
Yeah, it's senior day. It's the last game of the regular season. You want to be playing your best basketball. Purdue's played great against Rutgers. We played well against Michigan. Anytime Illinois and Purdue get together, it's usually two teams that are pretty good and playing for a lot, and they're very competitive. They've got, in my opinion, the elite point guard in the country in Braden Smith. They just made 18 threes. So we just scored 60 and a half. So it's set up to be what looks like a fun game and very, very competitive. And it's just, like I said, it's just another night in Big Ten play.
I actually have one more question. I've always wondered, you're kind of like a coach hard but love them harder kind of guy. How has that had to manifest itself this year too, given the injuries, the illnesses? Because I feel like you've really stuck up for your players, maybe more than in previous seasons this year.
Yeah, there are a lot of new guys, so you don't know how to. You're always going to be sensitive, but I do love them hard, and I coach them hard. I don't think that I think we've been a little more patient, especially with the fact that we're pretty young. Last year, and I don't like comparing, but last year I could really get on Terrence Shannon, I could really get on Marcus and Coleman, and we could get really and that team became really gritty and competitive, and this year we've had to pace ourselves with that. That's the reason we played a really hard schedule, Cassie, is to harden these guys, to make them find out what it's like for March, and that every game is hard, and you've got to compete, you've got to bring it. For the most part, we've done that, and this group's had one advantage that I didn't account for: their love for the game. They love to play. They're not a group that needs a lot of reinforcements to go to the gym and work out. They're there themselves, and they put a ton of time in. They're passionate about it. So that's really helped the competitive side of things. They love to play, they love to compete, and maybe more so than any team I've ever had. So that part's great, and then it's just helping them through the tough times. And every player and every team has a tough moment, and we've had our fair share of this year. But it's these guys don't get enough credit for how well they've handled that, being the first time together, and a lot of new faces.
Brad, I appreciate your time. Good luck tomorrow in the regular season finale, and good luck in March. We're looking forward to it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.